WSBR. This is 1590 WSBR, Glen Baltimore. 1590 WSBR, Glen Baltimore. Views expressed on the following programs do not necessarily reflect those of the Wake Broadcasting Corporation or the staff and management of WSBR.
Shalom, shalom, Yisrael. This is Yehonatan Gawi with you again on Yahweh for Christians. I come with you today with a heavy heart. I was not with you last week. My son passed away. And this show will be my first show that is being streamed and that will be sent out on social media. And it's called Jay's Tribute. My son's name is Jonathan David Johnson Jr. Nickname was Jay, J-A-E. I want to talk about some of the things I've been talking about since day one. The conditions that we are in right now and how we negotiate them now and how we should be negotiating them. Things have not changed since you got here off the boats. First time I ever thought about really sincerely thinking about in terms of analyzing our plight in terms of injustice was in 1991 with Latasha Harlins. Latasha Harlins was a 15-year-old young lady who went into a Korean store to get some orange juice. She had the $2 for it. It cost like $1.69, something like that. And she had it in her backpack. She came to the counter to pay for it. The Korean woman grabbed for the backpack. There was a scuffle. It's all on tape. Clearly, the young lady was not stealing the orange juice. She had the money and gave them the money. In the ensuing struggle, she just gave the orange juice back. And upon leaving, Soon Ja-do, the owner of the store, shot the young lady in the back of the head, killing her. Now, of course, there was a trial, and the jury actually reduced they were asking for murder, of course. The jury said involuntary manslaughter and recommended 16 years instead of first-degree murder. Horror of horrors, Judge Joyce Carlin gave no jail time. She went against the recommendations of the jury, gave no jail time, even though Soon Ja-do showed no remorse. As a matter of fact, it was the reason why the jury even wanted her to do mandatory 16 years, because throughout the entire process, no remorse was shown. The judge went against the recommendations, gave no jail time, and ordered only the funeral expenses to be paid and some community service. As a matter of fact, the judge went so far as to say that Latasha was the criminal, and that if she had survived the ordeal, she would have been before her in court being tried for assault. I am not kidding you. 15-year-old girl shot in the back of the head. If she had survived, would have been in her court for assault. You know, that was the beginning of me looking at our political and social conditions in an analytical manner. You know, right after that was the Rodney King beating, 1992 in LA. And that made a lot of news for a long time. And of course, there were no convictions. Every officer was acquitted. And it made me think, if all those beatings that he took was not, if all that was justified, what would they have to do to be not justified? Now, of course, Rodney King, he did not die from this. He may end up dying a few years later, alcohol poisoning or something. He was an alcoholic. But injustices that is clear to any honest eye to see, caught on tape, made me think of the golden rule. You know, we'll talk about the golden rule, Luke 6:31, of doing unto others as you have them do unto you. As Soon Ja-du, the Korean shopkeeper, if her daughter was shot in the back of the head in an African store, would she feel that justice was done? How about the judge? How about the judge, Joyce Carlin, who gets paid money to do what she did? She has degrees in law, and she rendered that judgment. You mean to tell me that that is the way they teach them? Well, apparently, yes, it is. Because when I go through these lists of names, you're going to see that, yes, that is the way they're taught. And justice does not mean what your mind considers to be justice. Justice is just us, meaning those who have laid the blueprint and groundwork for justice. The Guardian, there was a Guardian study in 2015, the most extensive study ever of people who have died under the hands of the law enforcement. In 2015, there was a total of 1,134 deaths by law enforcement. Somebody keeps calling. Call the number again. Call the number. Okay, I think.
What happened?
I'm sorry, someone called and interrupted the call.
Hold on. It's no problem.
Okay. My apologies. I am calling in the show today. I'm not at the station. So this study by the Guardian in 2015 found that 1,134 deaths occurred by law enforcement. I ask that you go online and look at this study. It is extremely extensive, very detailed. Black males 15 to 34 are 9 times more likely to be killed than anyone else, 5 times more higher than the white males at the same age group. 50% of all peoples killed by law enforcement were the black males aged 15 to 34. As a matter of fact, this is shocking. This is really shocking. Of all deaths by black males in the US of A, all deaths, 1 in 65 is done at the hands of law enforcement. 1 in 65. 43 of these deaths, 1,134 deaths in 2015, were 18 years old and younger. So is this how the rest of the world is? Really? This study is very extensive. Let's look at some other countries. In England, let's say England and Wales. In England and Wales, they had 55 killings in the last 24 years. That's all of England and all of Wales. 55. In the United States, in the year 2015, they had 59 in the first 24 days of the year. They topped England and Wales in 24 days, what they had in 24 years. Iceland, with a population of 320,000, has only had one death ever in its country's 80-year history. One, killed by an officer. Stockton, California alone, with a population of 304,000, has had 3 in the first 5 months. Germany has had 15 killed in 2 years. All categories. That means anyone killed in the last 2 years in Germany, these years I think was 2012, 2013, they've only had 15 killed by law enforcement, counting everybody, whether it was armed, unarmed, attacking, accident, whatever. But in the United States, in 2015, just counting the unarmed black males alone between the ages of 15 and 34, in just the first 5 months, 19, and they say killed, I say murdered. 19 murdered in the first 5 months, just black males alone. While Germany's had 15 in 2 years, counting everybody, all races and creeds. Australia, 94 killed by law enforcement in 19 years, all categories. United States, in the month of March alone in 2015, just the month of March, 97. Canada. Now we're talking about a landmass that you can walk to from one country to the next. It's not across the water. It's not in another hemisphere. It's just right up the road. In all categories, in the same year period, in Canada, they get 25 deaths per year. In California alone, we've had 72 in the year 2015. Almost 3 times that in 1 year. That's just one state. Finland, a country, less than 5.5 million people, about 5.5 million people. In 2013, the country of Finland, the entire law force fired 6 bullets. 6 bullets. Enough to load one weapon, one little handgun. How big would their budget have to be that they only have to replace 6 bullets in a whole year? We didn't say 6 murders, 6 killings, 6 accidents. Not saying that those 6 bullets killed 6 people. No, they just expelled 6 bullets in the line of duty an entire year. In Pasco, Wisconsin, Pasco with a population of 67,599. 67,599. Officers shot 17 bullets into the body of Antonio Zambrino Montez. 1 day, 1 incident, 17 bullets. 3 times more than the entire country of Finland. For a whole year, they fired 17 rounds of lead in 1 man. You know, there are plenty of names here to list, and it's sad and it's sickening and it's depressing. And it made me stop and I paused and I thought about the epidemic of mass murders we have going on. How is it that we have so many mass murderers who don't look like me and don't look like my listening audience, all four of you? They end up getting arrested. The police officers aren't feared for their life. Toy guns, cell phones, plastic water bottles, none of those things, all those things frighten them to fire 17 rounds into a 17-year-old. But an acknowledged mass murderer who's armed down, killing everybody in the mall, gets happily locked up. I'm not stupid, and I don't think you're stupid either, to think that there's no justice going on in the good US of A. And it's only getting worse, because I looked at other statistics, and even though they're not as extensive as this Guardian study in 2015, the numbers only get worse and worse and worse. This is lead lynching, folks, lead lynching. Now, my son was not shot by the police, but he's had many bad run-ins with them. A small man, 5'9", 135 pounds. I've seen him myself getting pounced upon by many officers. I've seen him abused. If he had $3 in his pocket, they were stealing. He's been arrested a few times. Each time they took whatever money he had in his pocket. One time he had like $3. They took that. They give you everything back except a little bit of money. This is the routine way how they deal with you. They have no respect for you. No respect for you. But we keep on wearing out our shoe leather and our placards, and buying Mylar balloons and stuffed animals, setting up funding programs, and nothing changes. This is the reason why Yahweh for Christians at WordPress.com, Yahweh for Christians at gmail.com is here. Because I'm saying we cannot keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. But we still do it. We have not changed from 1991. Forget that. Even back from before the Civil Rights Movement, we have not changed in the way we address our injustices. We still do the same thing and getting the same results. We protest the same way. We vote the same way. Nothing changes. I remember a few months ago, I gave you the statistics for how many of your brothers and fathers and uncles and cousins blood spilled in the streets of Chicago alone. We're not talking about America KKK. Just in Chicago, during the office of your president, your black president that you love so much, more black males got killed than all of the time of Georgia, or just about the amount, about the equal, than died in war under J.W. Bush. You're supposed to die in war. They had a literal war and had just about the same amount as people died in Chicago. Not just people, just black males. I want to call out a few names that may stand out that you may remember. And I must acknowledge, I must admit that I don't remember a lot of these names. I did not remember a lot of these names because it happens so often. It's happening even now while I'm speaking. Some of your blood is being spilled on the streets right now, even as I speak, in an unjust manner. I'm only going to call out a few, maybe give you a bullet point just to honor them and to remember them. YahwehForChristians@wordpress.com, YahwehForChristians@gmail.com. You can find my book at Everyone's Place, which is on 1356 West Norfolk Avenue, 21217. Eniola. So the first name I want to call.
What is going on?
Someone keeps calling, interrupting my phone.
Hold on. Well, you need a repair. Don't be scared.
2011, Anthony Lamar Smith, St. Louis. Shot. Officer not guilty. Even though they withheld DNA evidence that would have helped his case. 2012, Rekia Boyd, Chicago. Off-duty officer shot and killed Rekia Boyd. Verdict. Back and forth in court. Not guilty. Yet she gets 4.5. Her family gets 4.5 million. And you're gonna find that's a common thread. If you haven't done anything wrong, why are you paying $4.5 million? That's a lot of money. If I didn't do something wrong, I'm not paying $5 when it's officially logged in that I have given redress. When you pay money, you're saying you're ameliorating the situation, making it better, or you're acknowledging that you did something. And that's a common thread. They just pay for your blood. It's nothing. It's nothing. 2014, Remain Brisbane, Phoenix, no charges, but he gave $1.5 million to his loved ones. 2014, A.K. Gurley from Brooklyn. We did get a verdict in that one, negligible homicide, and $4.1 million. Laquan McDonald, 2014, Chicago. We did get a second-degree manslaughter charge on that and $5 million. That was a bad case. The officer came out of the car shooting, fired 17 rounds, opened his door, came out the car, 17 shots. Ain't even say nothing. Ain't no Miranda rights, nothing. Came out shooting on that one. How about Eglin Ford, California? Mentally ill man shot, killed. Ain't getting nothing. No charges, no money, nothing. Mentally ill man. Everybody remembers Tamir Rice, Cleveland. No charges. 12-year-old young boy with a toy gun. They did nothing wrong, but you get $6 million. Why are you gonna pay $6 million if you did nothing wrong? There's a disconnect somewhere. Michael Brown, same year, Ferguson, Missouri. Again, no charges, but you pay up $1.5 million. How about Gagne, Eric Gagne, Staten Island? 19 times, I can't breathe. Brother trying to make a little bit of money selling cigarettes. You're gonna choke him. No conviction, no charges, nothing. Go and give his family $5.9 million, but you did nothing wrong. You can choke a man in a lethal chokehold who was in no danger, you passed out, and you did nothing wrong, and you go home to your family, and you think you did nothing wrong, and you sleep in peace. You're not a man. You're not a man. You're not a living, upright soul. Christian Taylor, Arlington, Texas. I'm going to have to rush through these names. Samuel DuBose, Cincinnati. 4.85 million. No charges. None of these, no charges. Sandra Bland. My wife still is fumed about that. If I even mention the name to her, she goes off in a tizzy. They faked up the records, doctor records. They took mugshots of her after they killed her. No one's locked up. No one's arrested. No charges. But the family gets $1.9 million. Right here in Baltimore, Freddie Gray, going down to 2015 now, $6.4 million. Everybody's involved a home with their families. Everybody involved had Thanksgiving with their families, their uncles and their brothers and their cousins, all at the table. But not Freddie Gray and his family. Walter L. Scott, no conviction. We got $6.5 million. Jamar Clark, Minnesota, nothing. Jeremy McDowell, Wilmington, Delaware, no charges. Man was in a wheelchair, and they blasted him away, $1.5 million. William Chapman II, Portsmouth, Virginia. They did get a conviction out of that. Walter Scott, Charleston, South Carolina. They got a conviction out of that. Eric Harris, Tulsa, Oklahoma. They got a conviction out of that. Man was restrained and unarmed, and he gets shot and killed. Tony Robinson, Madison, Wisconsin, no charges. Unarmed, shot, killed. No money, nothing. Ricky Ball, and there's a couple of Ricky Balls that got shot and killed. But this one was bad. We had Terrence Crutcher, Tulsa, Oklahoma. You got to remember that one. The officer shot and killed him right there in broad daylight, hands up, broad daylight, not armed, nothing. Caught on, you can hear saying, "This is a bad dude." On camera, hands up, locked, loaded, shot and killed. No conviction, no charges, no dollars, nothing. Philando Castillo Falcon. In Falcon Heights, I apologize, because I want to honor these people. Philando Castillo from Falcon Heights, Minnesota, who told the officer, "I'm armed. I'm licensed to have a weapon. I'm armed." They told him to get his ID. He went to get it, shot and killed him. I believe that one was his wife and child in the car too. Keith Lambert Scott, Charlottesville, North Carolina. Shot, killed, no charges, nothing. Man had 7 children, married with 7 children. Paul O'Neill, Chicago. No money, nothing. Alton Sterling, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Boston Shem Jean, a college kid, in his own apartment. If you're not safe in your own place, where are you going to be? Officer comes into his house. That's breaking and entering. Shoots and kills him and said, "Oh, I thought it was my place." This is unreal. You can't make this up. It's so bad. You're going to kill a man in his own apartment and say, "Oh, my bad. I thought it was my place." How about Corinne Gaines? Corinne Gaines that killed her and almost killed his son, $38 million. Charles Kinsley in Miami. Now, that's a bad one. Kinsley didn't die, but he was trying to rescue a mentally ill patient who escaped from where he worked. He was trying to protect him. Hands up, laying down on his back, officer shot him in the leg. Lead lynching. This is a lead lynching. This is modern day lynching. Stephen Clark, Sacramento. In his backyard of his grandmother's house, shot, killed. I have a friend of mine, 2017, Maurice Eichel. You remember that being in the news? Dating the girlfriend he was dating was an officer, and she shot and killed him on the sofa. No charges, nothing. My buddy's dead, gone. One of my old road buddies hanging out with him, gone. So I do give you, I have a heavy heart today as I do this program to update you onto what's going on with us. And we still are doing the same thing, marching, buying balloons and protesting, and nothing's happening. I'm going to have to probably do this follow-up next week. But I do want to end off with one scripture that came from King Dawid on his last dying days. You can find it in 2 Samuel 23, 6 and 7. David says, he who rules over man must be just. He who rules over you must be just. If not, here's what you get. But the sons of rebellion will all be as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. But the man who touches them must be armed with iron and a shaft of the spear, and they will be utterly burned with fire in their place. You cannot beat this. This has to be done by the Most High. Shalom, shalom, Yisrael. Almighty willing, I will revisit you next week. Shalom, shalom. Oh, we got it wrong. It is a name. Oh, I curse off and say, I'm hungry, love. My food ready? Good. Okay, good. So, Indio, I want you to release that.
Sorry that yours got interrupted. Maybe she used my phone.
But at least, yeah.
Nobody called me.
Right. But also, at least it'll be released on here uninterrupted. So that's going to be the first one. I'm going to finish that up next week.